father of modern Bengali theatre. He popularized these plays. The Star Theatre, which he started, is still there, maybe in a slightly different form, but it's in the same place, the Star Theatre. And in those days, that was the, since there was no other media, films were not yet popular, we had not yet started the movies and other things. This theatre was very popular in Calcutta. And though he began with historical novels, historical dramas and plays, he shifted after coming in contact with Sri Ramakrishna. He started composing some wonderful plays on the divine personalities like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Prahlada and so many other. So the complete works of Girish Ghosh, if you see, he was a wonderful playwright, and also he used to write songs, compose his own songs. It's not that somebody else composed the songs which he normally used in his plays. And using, in those days, people from the higher rank of society would not normally act in these plays. So it did not have a great reputation. It was something new, and Girish Ghosh was trying to popularize it. And in the process, by enacting these plays and dramas based on religious personalities or spiritual personalities, a lot of devotees belonging to different sects, say for example Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers, who normally were centered around Navadvip and all those places in Bengal, and they used to flock in large numbers whenever a drama on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was enacted. And many of these actors were women. In fact, the role played by Chaitanya himself was acted by a young woman. So there were many characters which he immortalized by his wonderful play. Of course, it was based on history. It is based on authentic biographies of these great personalities, but he had a unique knack of making them so interesting, these plays, that people would come again and again and enjoy the wonderful plays that he composed. And Sri Ramakrishna, normally people would expect, when Girish Chandra Ghosh first met Sri Ramakrishna, he was not very much impressed. He was not a religious person. He was an absolute sort of a person who was given to drinking, given to all sorts of activities which would not classify him among the spiritual aspirants. So in that condition, he meets Sri Ramakrishna. And one great thing about him was that he was very honest to himself. He could never pretend. As I told you, even when he wrote all these wonderful plays, he became a very popular figure. And lot of devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vaishnavas especially, used to flock in large numbers. And they would imagine, they would idolize him. If a person can compose such a wonderful spiritual drama, then he himself must be of great spiritual merit or spiritual worth. But Girish Ghosh was very particular that he did not hide anything. He was given to, as I said, used to drink a lot. He had so many bad habits, though he was an exceptionally great playwright. But at the same time, he was not, was not trying to hide anything. So there is a famous incident in his life where most of these devotees, with a lot of devotion, they come to him. But he was not one who would pretend. But they could not believe that a person of his caliber, who can write a drama on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, such exalted spiritual place, how can such a person be given to all this drinking? So they thought perhaps he is using medicine in a bottle which a liquor bottle. So they just tried to ask him, oh, maybe you are taking medicine. He said, no, 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 it's just, I'm drinking alcohol. There's nothing wrong. I believe what I believe. I don't have to hide anything. This frank nature or this truthful nature, he was true to his words always. That helped him when he came to Sri Ramakrishna. And we all of you know, when Girish Ghosh first came, he was somehow a man of tremendous faith. He knew he was bad. He had so many bad habits. And the whole of Calcutta perhaps criticized him. The so-called Puritans, they used to criticize him. They would not appreciate even the better side of Girish Ghosh, his famous plays, his famous drama, and his wonderful acting. He himself would act in many of these dramas. So instead of that, they would find faults and point out to people, oh, he's not a man of good character and so many things. But he was least concerned about that. He was at least honest in acknowledging that these bad habits are there. He is what he is. He can't help it. But he had some hopes when he met Sri Ramakrishna. He felt this man can help me. This person can help me. Though he did not sincerely believe in many of the churches, many of the temples and other places of worship, never used to visit them. He was an entirely very materialistic type of person. But at the same time, he felt that tremendous love Sri Ramakrishna had, irrespective of your spiritual stature. So he found, oh, at least here is one person who does not criticize me. Just as a mother, she doesn't criticize. Maybe some of her children are more intelligent and some of them are not so intelligent or maybe given to bad ways. Still, a mother is a mother. As Shankaracharya famously said, there can be a bad child, but there can never be a bad mother. So even if the child is bad or given to evil ways, the mother would, of course, with all the motherly love, so would shower her affection on the child and would not discriminate. In fact, she would love the child who really needs more help, more than the other one who is much better than the other children. So anyway, so he felt that here is a person who is the only person perhaps in Kolkata who does not criticize me. And he has so much love. He doesn't discriminate between. Whenever he went there, sometimes in a drunk state he used to go. It's very famous, although if you see the initial meetings. But the great thing is how this person was a bohemian and given to so many evil habits could be transformed. So that made Girish remark, in his very poetic, in his very dramatic way, used to say, if you want to understand the greatness of Sri Ramakrishna, don't look at Vivekananda, because he was by birth great. So there's nothing Sri Ramakrishna did to enhance. Maybe he did a little bit, but that does not show his greatness. But if Sri Ramakrishna can transform a person, a drunkard like me, then that is the greatest miracle. It's a greater miracle than transforming Narendra. So he used to sometimes jokingly say this. And he says, when the whole world gave me up as a useless person, everybody was criticizing. No doubt he was popular and people appreciated his dramas as well. But because of his evil habits, the character which he had before meeting Sri Ramakrishna, there were enough critics. There were a lot of critics, more critics than admirers. But anyway, he was a fearless person. He did what he believed was true. And when he surrendered to Sri Ramakrishna, his whole life changed. He changed. Sri Ramakrishna never admonished him. He never told him, stop doing this, stop doing that. Automatically, that wonderful love which he showered upon Girish Ghosh, not treating him the way the world treated him, that had a miraculous effect. Of course, there was the spiritual power which he took his whole responsibility. When he was asked again and again, okay, can you do a little spiritual practice? In fact, he had gone to Sri Ramakrishna to learn some spirituality which might save him from all the endless troubles that he was facing, mental anxiety, depression, and so many issues were there in his life. He was struggling. So he thought maybe some spiritual practice, but whatever Sri Ramakrishna told him, he said, no, I cannot assure you I can do it. He said, at least repeat the name of the Lord once before you go to sleep. No, I can't even do that, because sometimes I go to sleep in a drunk state. So if I forget, I don't want to betray you. I can't promise I can do anything. Then Sri Ramakrishna, instead of getting frustrated, he said, okay, then can you give me the power of attorney, your power of attorney? Then he said, oh, that is very easy. Then what do I have to do? You don't have to do anything, but every time you want to do anything, you should feel that I have given the power of attorney to somebody. I should not exert or assert my own ego. But he thought it is very simple. I have to do nothing. But then he said, it is such a difficult task, because whenever since he had promised it, and since he was a true person, a person who would keep his word. So he said, I have given my power of attorney to Sri Ramakrishna. And being my teacher, and since I have promised him, I have to do it. So the moment he started asserting his ego, trying to do something, then he said, no, it's not my will. It should be the Lord's will. So a feeling of self-surrender developed so quickly in his personality that his whole life was transformed. Anything he wanted, Sri Ramakrishna did not ask him to stop any of his bad habits. But he himself felt, oh, I have given the power of attorney, then I should not be doing this, I should not be doing that. And like that, slowly, many of his bad habits dropped off, and he was maybe within a few years. This drama which we are referring to now was attended by Sri Ramakrishna when he was not so close. Girish was not so close. That is why when some of the devotees expressed a desire that you should see this Chaitanya's drama, it's a wonderful play, and Girish has written it so well, you will enjoy it. And Sri Ramakrishna obviously wanted to see this, and they arranged a box seat, as we discussed last time, for him. And the devotees, who were capable of paying, they asked, should he have to pay? Because Sri Ramakrishna never had any money, never kept money. So he said, no, he doesn't have to pay, but all of you have to pay. So those who sat in that special box seat, because they did not want Sri Ramakrishna to sit in a crowd. So like a small child, Sri Ramakrishna was enjoying, and he was in such a high spiritual mood that he did not consider the actors to be mere actors. He could enter into the soul of that drama. So when somebody spoke, because the dialogues were genuine and full of spiritual import, it's not that the drama was extraordinary drama on Sri Chaitanya, his childhood, and it covered the whole life. And when Sri Ramakrishna saw it, he felt as if it is Chaitanya. He got so much involved that he went into ecstasy. Then when somebody asked, after all it's a drama, he said, see, an artificial apple reminds you of the real apple. So that's the value. Even if it is artificial, seeing the shape and the color of the apple, you really feel that this is a real apple, though you may not be able to eat it. So imitation, in a way, inspires in you. It ignites a spark, and if you are sensitive enough, you will be able to see through the actors. Just don't focus on the actors. Focus on what is being told. They may be playing roles of Chaitanya, they may be ordinary people, but as long as they are enacting this drama, it's the ideas that they are expressing. The playwright who has written sending such a powerful message based on the real teachings of Chaitanya. So Sri Ramakrishna, as we saw, was listening to a hymn, and many of these hymns were uh, composed by Girish himself, and it was set to music. And the classical music, recently we have come uh, to know that one of the musicians who was who got his training under the cousin of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda's cousin was Habu Datta. He was a great percussionist, and he used to play pakhavaj and many instruments. So there was this famous Alauddin Khan, who was from Bangladesh originally, but at a very young age he ran away from home with a desire of becoming a musician, and somehow he got shelter in the house of Habu Datta, Swami Vivekananda's cousin, and they learned under the same teacher. So these young boys who were learning classical music were the ones who used to play all the instruments in the background. The famous Alauddin Khan, who gave rise to all the great artists of India. He had so many disciples, Ravi Shankar and this Hari Prasad Chaurasia. All these great classical musicians are disciples of Alauddin Khan. He was playing, he was very young, maybe 14 or 16, and he was in, they say, he composed music, or he used to play many instruments. He could play the esraj, he could play many other instruments. He was so talented, and that is how he learned, and that is how he managed to get some employment so that he could learn music. And then he became a great Ustad Alauddin Khan, who had so many disciples. So a great name in classical Hindustani music. Anyway, these songs were not only sung, but there was a background music. So here we see the song is just over and Thakur is hearing. And we all know Sri Ramakrishna was very particular about the rhythm and the notes, the raga. If there was any discrepancy, it would hurt his ears. He could not tolerate. He could not tolerate music which was not sung properly. And he himself could sing. Sri Ramakrishna himself could sing. So when he hears this hymn, which was rendered in a wonderful style, in a very proper way, in a proper classical way, he passes, as the description goes, Thakur hears the hymn and passes into an ecstatic mood, because the songs were describing the divine sport of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose name was Nimai, when he was young. So how he used to play, like Krishna used to play with his fellow cowherds. So here also, on the bank of Ganges, Ganga, in Navadvip was the place where Nimai, or the name of Sri Chaitanya when he was young, that was his name, Nimai. He used to play. So the scene now is some small kids are enacting that role. And after taking a bath in the Ganga, the Brahmins and the men who have come to perform their rituals, they are here and they are performing their puja on the bank of the Ganga. And Nimai, like every restless child, naughty child, is grabbing the food offering, because they normally do the puja, offer the fruit or food which is there, and then take it as prasad. But before the offering was over, or before the puja was over, in this scene, this small boy snatches the food from the plate which was meant for God, and he starts eating it. So the Brahmin is very much annoyed and shouts, "You mischievous boy, you are snatching the holy food of Sri Vishnu's puja. You will be totally ruined." Nimai still grabs it and is about to run away. So this is the scene, and most of the women are very fond of this boy. Though he apparently did it was a sacrilege to the food that was meant for offering. You obviously cannot take and eat it. But this boy was so many people loved this small Nimai so much that they did not mind. So even though the Brahmin was terribly angry, the other people were supporting this small Nimai. So this is the part of the play that was enacted. And mostly it were the women who had come to do their own, to perform certain rituals. They were not at all upset because there was a strange attraction, and this Nimai, young Nimai, was exhibited divine qualities even as a child. So we see all the pranks of Sri Krishna when, though Yashoda used to get angry and sometimes beat him, sometimes scold him, sometimes tie him, but he used to again continue doing all those mischievous acts as a child with all his friends. So here it's a similar scene, but it is Nimai who is doing it, the childhood name of Chaitanya. And they all call out because Nimai is running away with the food, which that poor Brahmin was trying to offer to some god doing his puja. And before it was offered, this boy takes that food and runs away. But and because he was chasing him, Nimai was running, and this other devotees who loved Nimai did not want him to go. He said, "Please come back, please come back. Do not run away." So they were keen to help him because they missed his company when he left. And that boy was frightened because this Brahmin would grab him. But someone in that gathering knew one secret. If there was something which would make him calm and not do any mischief, like we know in Swami Vivekananda's life, his mother found out that when he was very young and when he used to do a lot of mischief, they used to just chant Shiva, 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 and he used to calm down. So here also, these women knew there was a mantra. If they chant that, Nimai would come and become very calm and patient, and he would give up his mischievous ways. So they wanted him to come. So they all start chanting. Of course, this is in the drama which is being enacted. They start chanting Haribol, Haribol. Haribol is it means chant the name of Hari. That's a very popular chant with mostly Vaishnavas, and you'll find wherever Vaishnavas sing the Kirtan ends with this Haribol, this chant of Haribol. Haribol means repeat the name of Hari. Bol means to recite. So recite the name of Hari. The moment you said that, Nimai would just go into a deep state of ecstasy, and he came back, and instead of running away, he came back. So Mani means the chronicler of this gospel was seated beside Sri Ramakrishna. We saw that he was accompanying Sri Ramakrishna, and he was the one who recorded all these conversations. We have this whole gospel because of Mahendranath Gupta, who has hidden himself by giving himself a pseudonym, that is Mani. Mani is M only. M he used to sometimes use M. Sometimes he used to just mention a devotee. Sometimes he used to use master, or many things he used to use, different names. But here Mani is seated beside Thakur. He is exclaiming. He is mentioning as if Mani is the other person, third person. But he himself is recording all these things. Mani is seated beside Thakur. He is exclaiming, "Oh, see what a wonderful scene." Sri Ramakrishna cannot contain himself any longer. As I said, even though it is a drama, Sri Ramakrishna got totally involved. In fact, if you see his life, whatever he did, he gave it 100%. The M has observed this. He could never do anything casually. That was Sri Ramakrishna's attitude. He never did anything half-heartedly. So once Sri Ramakrishna, M observed Sri Ramakrishna, once he says, "I will go and I want to visit Mother's temple and pay my respects to her." Once he uttered that, and he would simply get up and start walking. No matter, even if somebody wanted to stop him, he would not listen. He would first finish whatever sankalpa he had made. That is known as sankalpa siddhi. You do what you resolve. You just don't make half-hearted attempts. That's the way to success. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, people say we don't get success, we practice spirituality, but how much of it is 100% sincere? If that sincerity is there, then you will succeed. Whatever you do, even a small casual action, like he says something, if he says, I will come on a particular day at a particular time, even if it is very inconvenient, he would not cancel that appointment. Once it so happened that he could not get a carriage, and by the time he reached that doctor's house where he had promised, he went, opened the gate, it was almost midnight, but he said, no, I have given my word. He did not want to disturb them, but he went inside the gate and said, Doctor, I have come. He shouted loudly. Of course, there was no response. Doctor was fast asleep. He went to that Vaidya, or that doctor, whom he had told that I will come today at such and such time, but there was some delay. But that did not make him cancel the trip. He went because I have given a word, I should be truthful. So that is why Sri Ramakrishna here, when he was observing this song, many people, there were other people also, none of them were moved. Half of them perhaps would have thought it's a nice drama, oh, how nicely the song has been sung, how nice the music is, and all those things. They would see the external, the greatness or the talent of the actor, but very few would think so deeply and try to absorb the content of what was being portrayed in this drama. So Thakur, Sri Ramakrishna, cannot contain himself any longer. He begins to shed tears of love looking at Mani as he utters. I mean, he is totally involved. He is literally thinks that Nimai has come here. He doesn't realize it's just a play, it's an act. Chaitanya is not here. But his involvement was 100%. Even if it is watching a drama, he thought he is in the midst of Chaitanya. That was the seriousness, or that was the sincerity with which he led his life. So then Sri Ramakrishna tells the people who are around him, there are 4 or 5 people in that box from where he could watch this drama. So he tells Baburam, who was another person who used to always accompany, who later on became Swami Premananda. So Baburam and M, they were sitting near Sri Ramakrishna because they knew very often he used to go into ecstasy and he may fall down. So then Sri Ramakrishna is very much conscious. Now and then he would go into ecstasy, but he is very, very aware that I don't want to create a scene here. He was conscious of that also. He didn't want, he says, listen, if I pass into an ecstatic mood or samadhi, you must not create a fuss about it. Ignorant or worldly people will think that I am feigning it. I might go into these states because I can't help it. That was his natural state. Whenever he saw these things, he got so deeply involved that he used to go into this kind of trance or ecstatic mood. But at the same time, when he came back to normal consciousness, he was aware that it might cause some kind of controversy, and people who would not understand would make fun or would think that he is just acting or maybe he's pretending. So he was very particular that way and conscious of the attitude of people who are not used to these kind of things. Because this is a very rare phenomena. Anybody getting involved, nobody had observed a trance. In fact, when Naren first heard this word trance or samadhi, normally in English it is translated as trance. So there is a very interesting incident, I think all of you know. When he was studying in Scottish Church College, his principal, that day he took an English class and was discussing Wordsworth. So in one of the poems, the poet Wordsworth explains some verse, and at the end he says that person goes into a trance. So naturally, Narendranath was studying English poetry, in his graduation days. He asked him, what is the meaning of this word trance? Because he had never experienced all these things. The William Hastie was also trying to explain, but he found that it is very difficult to explain this word unless you experience it yourself. Wordsworth might have experienced it, some other people might have experienced it, but since he said, see, I can't explain to you what this trance is. If you want to see somebody who has a trance, then you go to Paramahamsa of Dakshineshwar. At that time, Swami Vivekananda was just a college student. He had not heard Sri Ramakrishna's name. So he was curious. Acha, let me go and see. Because if there is a state, I should know it. See what this trance is all about. Why has Wordsworth mentioned this? This professor of English, who was the principal, who belonged to Edinburgh, Scotland, temporarily was on deputation as a principal of the college where Vivekananda studied. So he, in a way, directly or indirectly, facilitated Narendra and motivated him to meet Sri Ramakrishna. So that's how he comes in contact. He wanted to see for himself, how can I see a person? How can I know what this trance is? And how can I come in touch with such a person? So that is what led Narendranath to Vivekananda. So here also you will find that this trance, which M also had an opportunity to see, observe from close quarters. And there was a doctor, famous doctor, who never believed in anything, any spiritual experiences. He was the one who started Indian Association for Cultivation of Sciences, that is Mahendranath Sarkar, Mahendra Lal Sarkar, who was a professor of medicine in Presidency College, in Calcutta Medical College. And he never believed. He said, this is all hallucination. So he was the one who was treating Sri Ramakrishna. He was a homeopathic doctor, though he qualified himself in allopathy, but he later on shifted to homeopathy, and he was the one who was treating. He used to treat in the initial stages Sri Ramakrishna just as a mere patient. But when these trances came, he also got curious. He said, let me see, how can a person stop his breathing? This idea of samadhi was just heard by him or referred to by some people as mentioned in the scriptures. But he did not want to believe because science does not support it. But when he saw for himself how in that state the whole body would would transform itself in such a state that medically there was no other option, because he went there to investigate and found this is something I can't explain. Though he did not accept it because his so-called scientific mind would not permit him to accept. He still said, okay, he's a good man, he's a wonderful person as a human being. And he continued to come there. He used to love him and even treat him free of cost, because he said this is such a wonderful, holy person. But at the same time, he was skeptical. He did not want to accept, because science did not accept this. Anyway, so these states were not very uncommon. It was very common, and even in a place where dramas were enacted, like Star Theatre, Sri Ramakrishna used to go into Samadhi. And fortunately for us, because M recorded all these things, we have some record of course, he has recorded 172 conversations between 82, the first date he came, and 86, when Sri Ramakrishna passed away. So there were only 4 years. The earlier part of his life, we find it in the biography, but we don't get this day by day or records, accurate records of the conversations. But in the Gospel, it's the only book perhaps where whatever was uttered was recorded, because he had a photographic memory. And after going home, he used to meditate a lot, collect all those conversations, and that is how we have these 5 volumes of the Gospel. Now, of course, it is available in 1 volume, but the English translation, but originally he wrote it in 5 volumes in Bengali. Now, the next scene in this book is the sacred thread ceremony of Nimai. So, normally in the Indian tradition, between the age of 6 and 8, the child is only boys, somehow I don't know why, but boys were given the sacred thread. Though there is a tradition, I mean, long back in the Vedas, even girls were eligible for that. Young girls of the age of 6, they would be given this sacred thread. What it actually meant was that the age of 6, apart from developing your body and mind, the analytical mind, the skill sets that you develop, along with that, you need to develop the faculty of intuition, the faculty that allows you to make the right choice in life, that power of discrimination, to know what is right, what is wrong. So that comes, according to Hindu tradition, by a special faculty of the mind which is known as buddhi. So the idea behind this sacred upanayana or sacred ceremony, which unfortunately was restricted to boys, was that by the age of 6 and 8, when the child starts learning all the skills which will enable him to earn some money and live in this world, he should at the same time develop this wisdom, that power to know what is right and wrong, because mere intelligence without wisdom can lead a person astray. He may be very intelligent, but if he doesn't know what to do with that intelligence, how to use it properly. So to develop that faculty of buddhi, this Gayatri mantra or the thread ceremony. So Nimai is being, this is one of the scenes where Nimai is being given the Gayatri mantra. But he is in the robes of a monk, because he had a fascination right from childhood. Even though he was 6 to 8 years old, he used to love to dress himself in the gerua, that is ochre robes. So he is surrounded by Sachi and the women of the area. Nimai sings a song to beg for alms. She had seen, though he was just a boy, he used to imitate these monks who used to often come to Navadvip begging. That was very common in those days. The sannyasin had to beg for alms and go from door to door. So Nimai is now imitating. So this is a scene which he has created, our Girish Ghosh. He has inserted a song there also. It's a beautiful song. Unfortunately, we cannot play the Bengali version of it. Only the English translation is there. These songs are so wonderful. I mean, if you go through the original text in the original language, the child observing all the monks begging, he is trying to, at that young age, he is trying to ask for alms. So he says, whenever a sannyasin goes to somebody's house, normally it would be the housewife who would open the door. And it was a tradition that they used to address them as mother. So he says, "Oh, give me alms, oh my mother. I am a new yogi roaming about weeping for God. And I am a new yogi." That is, so this child at the age of maybe 6 or 8, we do not know. He was this Upanayana is normally done between these two ages, 6 or 8 years. So then he is asking for alms. That is the meaning of this song. "Oh, the people of Vraja, I love you, O mother. That is why I have come. See, I am fasting." So a child is entreating, is knocking on somebody's door and asking, "Oh mother," for that child, everybody is a mother. "So I am fasting, I have not eaten anything. Please give me some alms." That's the import of this song. "See, mother," a yogi is repeating. A yogi means this boy, he is referring to himself. He has dressed himself as a yogi. So he says, "See, I am repeating Radha, Radha at your door. The time is up and he has to return," means the yogi has to return. "Mother, I live alone on the bank of Jamuna." Normally monks live in these kutiyas or cottages and they depend on alms. They beg once in a day. Whatever they get by begging, they would come and spend the rest of the day and night meditating or performing spiritual practices. So he says, I'm living alone on the bank of Jamuna, and that was the tradition, just uttering some holy name, giving, that was the idea in those days. It was very common. And then the water from my eyes, that's the last part of the stanza of this song. So Girish Ghosh is trying to make it very emotional, this song, because Chaitanya used to, whenever he used to utter Radha, Radha, even at that young age, he used to imagine that it is Sri Krishna who is listening to him, and he used to weep, tears of joy used to come. So the water from his eyes meet with the water of Jamuna. So that's how the poet describes it, and flows slowly to mix with the waves in a gentle roar. So that is the whole song, the translation in English. And everybody leaves except Nimai, who stays alone. The gods in the guise of Brahmin men and women are singing a hymn. Now, in this drama, it has been shown that the gods themselves came to witness this great incarnation of God, who was singing these songs in divine ecstasy. And they had come disguised as Brahmins and men and women, and they are now singing a song inspired by this young boy who was wearing ochre robes. The men, now this is a tradition in this song, these type of songs. First there will be a main song, then there will be a chorus by group of men and group of women. They would sing alternately, and that chorus lent some beauty to this whole singing. So men are singing now. They are trying to describe the glory of the Lord. They say, the light of the moon shines in you. You have the form of Vamana. Vamana means a dwarf. One of the 10 incarnations, according to Hindu tradition, is Vamana Avatara. He was born as a dwarf. So they are trying to compare Nimai, these men devotees who are singing this song. They say, we see the light of the moon in you. You are so glorious, full of illumination, that, and you are nothing but Vamana Avatara or Vamana. The women say, you are the beloved of milkmaids. That is Krishna. They are comparing him to Krishna. Said, you are the beloved of milkmaids, the gopis, the wanderer among the beautiful groves of Vrindavan. So that is another verse. And then finally Nimai just joins the chorus and just says, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe. That is victory to Sri Radha, victory to Sri Radha. Then again the men sing. Then the women sing, and then there will be Jai Radhe or Hari Bol or something like that. That is how these kirtans have been composed, and they are very popular among the Vaishnavas. So people use it as this singing of these hymns as a devotional practice. So men are saying now, the next verse, the boys of Vraja are with you. Your beauty puts to shame the pride of Madan, the god of love. Women repeat another verse, your love has intoxicated the gopis of Vrajabhumi. There are waves of ecstasy. Then men again repeat, you are the one who deludes these demons. You are the Lord Narayana, the dispeller of the fear of gods. Even the gods also fear many things. Gods are not imperfect, they are not perfect beings. It's the Lord, Supreme Lord, who has given power to these gods. They are also afraid of asuras, they are also afraid of many things. So he said, even gods, the smaller gods, the lesser gods, who are afraid of so many things, though they are powerful people, you remove even their fear. And the women repeat, that is these are the qualities they are describing Nimai, whom they consider as an incarnation of Vishnu himself or Krishna himself. Then the women say, you roam about in Vraja and beg love from these gopis. Then Nimai just chants victory to Radha, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe. So when this song is going on, when it's concluding, Sri Ramakrishna gets involved so much, again he goes into Samadhi. M is observing everything, and then the curtain drops, and the orchestra, and that is how the concert behind the screen there would be somebody playing. And as I said, these famous musicians who later on became great musicians of India, like Alauddin Khan and all, as kids they used to perform. There's a beautiful book about the artists who performed in these dramas. Some of them became exceptionally great classical musicians later on. One of them was Alauddin Khan, and Swami Vivekananda's cousin Habu Datta also sometimes played and some of the instruments. So this background song concluded this whole drama. So now, and then Sri Ramakrishna enters into Samadhi and is about to leave. Then the story continues. Srivas and others are in conversation in front of Advaita's home. They are all companions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mukunda is one of the companions of Chaitanya. He sings in a sweet voice. Now the songs are not just praising the glory of the Lord, but these are some wonderful things, some beautiful spiritual hints that Girish Ghosh is trying to convey through this song. He is addressing the Mukunda, who is one of the friends of Chaitanya, is singing a very important song. He says, "Oh my mind, don't go to sleep. You have remained oblivious, intoxicated with Maya for so long. You have been so much immersed in the world that you have practically your mind has gone to sleep. Now at least get up, be awake to the reality, awaken yourself to the reality." So, who are you? I mean, somebody is asking that question. This is kind of self-inquiry which we do in Jnana Yoga. Who are you? Why have you come? You have forgotten yourself. Do you know who you are? What is your identity? That's what he's saying. Come out of this bad dream. Open your eyes. That's what the true spiritual attitude is about. We are confusing our identity in so many ways. We have put on so many masks because of the ego. It tells us what we are not, but what we are in reality has to be understood by a process of discrimination. That is the whole essence of spiritual life. That's why they compare, these poets compare it like a bad dream. This world, the things that happen, so many things happen, it is like a bad dream. You don't have to take it seriously, because there is a tendency to take everything, good or bad, that happens seriously. If we consider this world as a dream, then just consider it as a bad dream and forget it. Open your eyes and see. You are living with these transitory things. Look for the eternal within yourself. So this is the philosophical idea that he is giving. Come out of darkness and see the bright light of the sun. Mukunda has a sweet voice, and Sri Ramakrishna is really happy to hear this wonderful song and is praising him to Mani. So it's the time is over, so we will conclude today. It's Aarti time here, so I have to conclude a little before. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.